Welcome to Africa Media Australia. My name is Emma Baveri, and in the studio today we have Clyde and we have Mayad, and we are going to talk about the differences between the African culture and the Australian culture. So, welcome to the studio today, guys.
Thank you, Emma.
Yes.
How are you going?
Good, thanks. Yes, and so today we are going to talk about personal relationships. What do you think is the difference between our African culture and our culture here in Australia?
Well, I guess there's quite a bit of difference, really, isn't it? The way us African sort of relate to each other is a bit different to the way in Western culture people relate to each other. There are some elements of similarities, but there's quite a lot of differences. I think our relationship as Africans are more really attached. We're really attached to not only starting from our parents to our brothers or sister, our brethren, and that goes on for quite long. That happens also in the Western culture, but it's not really the same as we relate. We're much more connected to to others than what will be the case. But I'm not sure. Some people may have different view. But
Well, I basically agree with you, and it is true that there. To be perfectly honest with you, if I can speak from my own experience, and we African, I mean, I wouldn't say we African because Africa is really a continent of 53 countries, and it would be presumptuous for me to make a comment on. But I mean, if I can speak from my own experience, particularly in the Somali culture, I mean, let's say friendship is really, it's for life. So it's not something you take slightly. It's really, it's if you are friend with someone, basically it's part of your life. But in this particular, I mean, in Australia, I've been in Australia since 1997, and I do actually, what is really puzzled me is the speed. You know how sometimes people become very friendly so quickly, and then the
separation is also very
because,
fast.
I mean, it's not as people do take slightly, and so it's just the level of friendships and also the length of friendship. But I also do have friends, Australian friends who are a little bit older, and I can see sometimes they've been, when I look at some of their friends, they've been friends for a long time, like 20, 30, 40 years. But I guess it's particularly with the younger generation, they tend to be quite very casual, but we, particularly African,
I agree with the both of you. I think with the idea of a personal relationship, the friendship here is kind of based on whatever sort of relates you. If it's work that relates you, your friends at that time, if you all go different ways, the friendship just ends there.
Finishes.
While in other cultures, like in the African culture, it's different. If you work together, you've known this person, you become friends, and that friendship continues even regardless.
Absolutely, because I do remember when I was new to Australia, I had a lot of casual jobs. So I would work for 6 months here, 4 months there, and then I would work with someone for 6 months, day in and day out. And we're really kind of talking a lot, and I consider them a friend, and for me it's friend for life. But then once that job is finished, the next month or so, I meet them on the street. They completely ignore me, and I'm going, what's going on? And then I saw the first one, the second one, the third. I'm saying, well, this is how they
that's true. I have experienced that as well, and I did work a lot of, particularly in the retail sectors. And as I say, and it is quite amazing, how some people become friends so fast, and then suddenly, they move to something else and no more. It's just that there is no transition. It's not slowly. But I wouldn't say all Australian.
No, it's not all. I mean,
but you tend to see very often, particularly among the younger generation.
We could be generalizing here, but there's an element of reality there.
Absolutely.
So that our relationship are more personal versus the Western culture is more impersonal. It relates more to what brings you together, and once that thing is over, and then mostly the relationship is over.
I don't agree with you, because there are also personal relationship in the Western culture. It's just it's a different kind. It's not the same as
it's not as attached.
But you do see people who are really deeply and who really value
Yeah.
friendship. So
Yeah, I agree with you. We might be generalizing here, but we couldn't have experienced the same thing, the three of us. So
Yes.
there has to have been something, and I've heard other people talk too. So just to continue on that, we are going to talk about the collective and versus the individualistic kind of culture.
Yes.
So what do you think, Ned, about that?
Well, generally, African society or communal, we come from, it's a big and it's basically, the idea is what's mine is yours and what's
Yeah.
yours is mine. And
Mhm.
Yes.
so, I mean, the thing is that the reason we African like to be, to operate as a collective is just because of the environment
Yeah.
Yes.
and because of the scarcity of resources and because of the situation. So I think it's to survive is better to be with your kind and
Yeah.
allegiance to your
And I think that has developed over years.
Yeah.
Because people, for them to survive, as you said, they have to stick together,
Yeah.
work together,
Yeah.
work as a family,
Operate,
and operate as a village, because
Yeah.
the whole village kind of has to help each other to survive. So that has encouraged that sort of collectivism
Yeah.
or a collective mindset. Whilst in the Western culture, because I guess also because of the industrialization,
Yeah.
it has accentuated that individualistic sort of way of looking at things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So-
And it's kind of how we are brought up, too.
Yeah.
To do everything together. When we share food together,
Yeah.
we eat on one plate. If we
Yes.
sharing a room, you share with all your brothers. The sister share with all their sisters. So it's kind of become a generational thing,
Yes.
whereby it's just being passed from one generation to another. So I think
But
that's
it
also
is true, as particularly Clyde said, that collectivism was also something that was part of the Western culture
Yeah.
before the industrial
Yeah.
revolution. Because as the society, advanced or get richer, and
Yeah.
people tend to be, I mean, there is no less dependence.
Yeah, less
Yeah.
dependency.
So,
Yeah.
so I guess that's probably one reason. But I mean, honestly, and there is a balance. I mean, I wouldn't really recommend, the collectivism, what you see in Africa, because
Yeah.
that's also, it can be a problem. It tend to
Yes.
hold each other down.
yes.
And I
Yeah.
think also, but what you see in the Western culture, it's a bit extreme. So I think it's a balance between two.
Yeah,
It's-
and I think they really respect privacy,
Yeah.
Okay.
with the collective kind of working
Yeah.
together. Sometimes privacy can be breached, whereby you just feel like I have the right to just have a say in whatever happens in your life,
which
or
is
anything,
really-
which is
Yeah, I think it is true, and the way we live in Africa also encourages that collectivism. Even straight from early age, you spend much more time with your mom. You spend much more time with your parents, your brothers and sisters. You eat together, you sleep together. You do almost everything
Together. Yeah.
And when we say eat together, it's not just everyone with their own
Own
plate.
plate,
It's
yeah.
one bowl, and everyone everyone takes into that bowl. All that sort of thing really encourages that sort of collective mindset. Whilst here, it's really becoming a problem. And I'm just going to tell you a quick joke, because a few weeks ago, we were talking with friends at home, and because there were a few people, and we had a lot of dishes to clean. And one said, all this is because of the Western culture. If we were in Africa, we'd have
Just
one
have
big
one big
bowl,
bowl and everyone
we'll all
digs
have
in.
fun eating,
Yeah.
and there'll be less cleaning. Here, you got like 15 plates, and,
That you
and
need
you
to
have to
clean.
clean. So
I agree.
he was right.
So
I
you
agree.
cook once and you clean once, less complicated. But I will, to be honest with you, I'll be very curious to know what's your view, because you both have been in Australia quite a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you see? I mean, do you see collectivism is? What's your view about having a collective?
Well, I mean, and I'm not sure if the word collectivism is the right word, but I understand what you're saying. That
Let's say
collective,
collective.
that collective mindset. I think there is some value to it, but it's also may not necessarily be adapted to the realities of the Australian society.
Yeah.
I guess the solidarity.
Oh, it
Because
does.
that collectivist thing comes with the solidarity of people. That's a very good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But-
the sense
but-
of community. which
That's
is really
right. Sense of
important.
community that
Yeah.
we're together, and it gives a life a more richer experience. But then,
There's
because of the way of life here, you can't really. It doesn't may not work
Yeah.
all the time. So it's a
Yeah.
matter of keeping the
Yeah.
balance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where to stop, where to put the boundary,
Yeah.
and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
I think I agree, yeah, because you know we might say the individualistic kind of culture, or it's not good, or but to some aspects, I think it is good.
Yeah.
There are times when you just need your privacy. There are times when you just need people to leave you alone to think through things if you're going
Yeah.
through anything.
Yeah.
And you know, with our culture, it doesn't allow you to do that.
Yeah.
But
And-
that's one thing I like with the Australian culture here.
And one more element, I think
Well, I mean, that's the whole beauty, because I mean, personally, I believe every culture has something to offer. So
Yes.
it's always good to look at
all the
on the
the
positive
goods
rather
and
than just always, you know, people in general tend to always, you know, compare
Yeah.
things in a negative way.
Yeah.
but
which is
there's
not
always-
always a good
Yes,
idea.
I
Because
mean,
there's
there's
always a
some
value in something.
Yeah,
and the
so
other.
I think there's always
to
good.
blend the two too is a good thing.
And
Blend
one,
the
one
two.
element that I think the individualistic sort of aspect of culture has good positive benefit.
Absolutely.
It's also in terms of
Speaking your own mind.
speak your mind and progress too.
Absolutely.
If people, you know, the progress of countries in Western countries, because people sometimes have decided to break away from the group, go their own way, but they find something. They invented stuff. They brought some new ideas. The collectivist sort of perspective sometimes, you know, keeps people into some sort of a, you know, some sort of a limit or boundaries where it's difficult to break away and get new things.
I disagree there, because if you say you break away, there's some who break away forever and never come back. But
Well-
once you've achieved your goal, you're like, okay, now I've achieved where I want to be, and I'm back now.
Then the rest can follow because someone has to lead the way sometimes.
I guess I understand where
Very-
Emma is coming from, because sometimes we tend to go to the other extreme, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
cut the tie, with
Yeah.
them, which is to me is not a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you also need to be quite firm, and I
Yeah.
really and I mean, I can give you a good example from where I come from. Sometimes it's just that expectation, you know, you have to, when particularly, you know, where we come from, you know, and people will come and ask you something or money or financial thing,
Yes.
with a sense of entitlement, which is I find it's good to ask. I
But-
mean, and we should help each other.
Yeah.
But when you come with the attitude, you know, I'm entitled,
Yes.
that's really a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.